So hi everyone, today I'm going to do a video on how to remove a set of carbs on a Honda CBX1000. This video is going to be at quite a high level. I'm not going to be going down into details because those of you who are going to be removing your carbs must be capable of doing so. If you're not confident, you're going to have to get someone else to do it. So I'm just really going to go through the high level points that allow you to drop the engine and remove the carbs. So the first thing we're going to do is remove the seat and the tank. And if you can't do that, then you shouldn't be undertaking the job. So I'm going to move on to the next part after I remove the tank and the seat. Catch up in a bit. Okay, so we've moved the tank and we've removed the seat. And what we're going to do now is remove all of the electrical items and cables that stop the engine from dropping down. So first thing we can do is start off with disconnecting the battery as the starting point. HT lead's got to be removed. Gear linkage needs to be removed. I would normally do that as part of the dropping the engine, but we may as well do that now whilst we're on this side. So gear linkage. Other thing we need to remove, tacho drive cable. Clutch cable's got to be dropped. And an important one, which a lot of people don't do, is remove the neutron oil light plug, the green one here. If you don't remove that when you drop the engine, it's likely to snap the connector off the oil switch. So that's really the starting point for now. I might have missed a couple of pieces off because you know, whilst I do this on a regular basis, trying to video it is something you might have forgot, but I think I've covered everything off there. If I've missed anything, we'll revisit it, but that's it for now. Okay, so everything's been removed that I mentioned in the last part of the video. I've also removed the igniter pickup off of here, and I've also removed the alternator cable from here, just for good measure. So the next thing we're going to do is enable the airbox to come off and drop. Now, to do that, you've got to get to the screw on this big ring under here that goes into the air filter. You can just see it there. There's a screw. It'll either be on the top or the bottom, on the left-hand side or right-hand side, depending on where it is, but you'll find it. We're also going to remove the two bolts that secure the airbox here, so they're going to be removed. And then we'll start moving on to the removing the brackets and supporting the engine. So what we're going to do is just go through this, remove the bolts off the airbox, get the airbox, so when the engine drops forward, this airbox will become free. So I'll be with you in a moment. Okay, so from the previous video that I've done, you can see now where the screw is to remove the big bracket that sits around the airbox there. So I've done that. I've removed the two bolts here. So we now move on to removing the brackets. Now what we're going to have to do is we're going to get a jack, put a jack under the oil filter here with a block of wood. We're then going to that'll take the weight to the engine. Then we're going to remove the brackets here, left and right. So we've got this bracket. So you've got to remove these here. So put in a 14mm spanner on here, then use an Allen key and that will come out. Remove these bolts here. Got to remove these brackets here off the carb, just above the carbs, left and right. So all in all, you've basically got 12 bolts to remove here. And then that'll take it. But what I'm going to do is I'm now going to put the jack under here, and then we'll follow through with that. And that's basically it. So once we've done that, we can then move on to start and drop the engine and remove the throttle cables here off the carbs as we do that. So let's get that underway. Oh, the other thing we've got to do is remove this cover here and remove the sprocket off the chain so the engine will drop, because the chain will actually stop the engine from dropping forward. So we'll do that, and then we'll come back after I've done that particular job. Okay, so we've now removed the cover off the sprocket. We've now removed the sprocket. Just an important point, don't leave the sprocket in here because the engine will catch when it drops. So take the sprocket out of here. That's an important point. So the gear lever is now removed as the first part of the video. All the HT leads removed, all the brackets are removed. So now the weight of the engine is on just these two bolts here at the moment, and it's supported on the hydraulic jack here. Now the next stage that we're going to do is we're going to start moving towards dropping this engine. But the first thing we've got to do is remove the bolts off the exhausts here and here. Now it's very important that when you drop the engine you keep an eye on the exhausts, because the engine sort of drops, but these start moving up at the back here. Now what you can do is, depending on what pipes you've got on here, if you slacken off the headers on the cylinder head here, if you slacken them off, then the exhaust will just drop and the weight will be taken here. But that's absolutely fine. I've done this time and time again, and it just makes sure from a safety point of view that you're not going to damage your exhaust in any way. In this particular instance, I'm just going to remove the bolts off the back on each side, and then we'll work towards dropping the engine down. And then once we drop the engine down a bit, that'll give us access now to the throttle cables in here, and we'll remove those. So let's get to the next level by removing those bolts. Catch up in a bit. Okay, so the bolts have now been removed off the exhaust around here and around here. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to slacken this nut off here and slacken the bottom engine bolt nut off here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take the weight of the engine on the jack, and then once we get an equal weighting, we're going to tap this bolt out. Now when we tap it out, just be aware of the spacer here, because this will easily drop out and go somewhere and you'll think you've lost it. I've actually done it before, and I thought it was missing off the customer's bike, and actually it was my fault. It dropped down in here without me actually noticing it, but I did find it, so there we go. But just a point, watch the spacers here as you as you remove that bolt. So I'm going to go ahead now and remove that bolt, take the weight on the engine, and once I get to that point I'll come back and take a bit more video. Okay, so the top bolt's been removed, the bottom bolt's been slackened off. Now what we're going to do is just drop the engine down by 1/2 inch so we can get easier access to those cables. So I'm just going to do that now. I'm trying to do this one-handed. That's it, that's all you need to do so you can get easier access to remove those cables. Now what I'm going to do is just slacken both the nuts off, remove the back cable, remove the front cable, which I'll probably have to do a bit of video on, show you how to do that, but it is actually quite straightforward. So once I've removed the tensioners on the throttle cables, I'll come back to you. So just in addition to the previous little bit of video, to remove the tensioners off the throttle cables, the easiest way to do it, remove the clutch cable here, and then that gives you access to the locking nut on the rear throttle cable. And then once you remove the rear throttle cable, you then got access to the locking nut on the front throttle cable. So I'll come back to you once I've done that. Okay, so I've now removed the choke cable. One thing is you can also remove the oil cooler pipe from the bracket under here and move it to one side. That gives you clearance here. So I've removed the back cable. Now to remove it, it's very difficult to see, but just push this cable forward and then you can then slide it out like so, or push it back should I say. So you've got to push it back that way and then slot it out. Hopefully that makes sense. Now on the front cable, now I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do this one-handed, but I've slackened that off now. That drops out like so. We pull that to one side like that. Now what you've got to try and do, which I'm not going to be able to record because I need two hands, is actually pull the throttle open like so with the throttle cable, and then so you pull it up like that, and then I'll show you what to do with the screwdriver. Get a screwdriver down in there and lock the throttle open, and then I'll show you what you need to do once I've done that, and I'll come back. Okay, so you can see now I've used an Allen key to lock the throttle open there through the rear throttle cable locator. Now all you've got to do now is just push the front cable down like so, and it comes out. It really is as simple as that. I've mastered this over dozens and dozens of engine and carb removal, so once you know how to do it, it really is a minute to get those cables out. So hopefully that's useful. That's probably one of the most difficult parts of the carb removal. Okay, so we've now reached that point now where we can start dropping the engine. Now I would suggest, if you've not done this before, you get someone to stand over the other side and monitor the exhausts. I'm quite happy to do this on my own because I know these exhausts and I know they're not going to catch. So here we go. Now the key thing is, I'm doing this one-handed, trying to film at the same time. The key thing to watch is the brackets on the airbox can clear the frame as you drop the engine. So don't drop it too far, but you can see, hopefully see the brackets at the back there. And when you get it to a point, then that's it. Hopefully what you need is the room to be able to get the airbox out to remove the carbs. So we're going to do that now. So obviously what we're going to do now, straightforward, is remove all the 6 clamps off of the airbox, and then we're going to slide it out this way, avoiding catching the frame here with the brackets. That's what's the most important part. So I'm going to do that now, and once I've got the airbox off, I'll come back to you. Okay, so the airbox is out. When you remove the airbox, as it comes out, don't forget to remove the crankcase breather pipe. Also, that pipe's there, pull it round the side of the airbox so you've got good access to pull the airbox out. So we're now ready now to remove the, or slacken the joints on the clips on the carbs, and then we'll remove the carbs, and I'll show you how to do that. A lot of people struggle with this. I really don't understand why. I guess it's just a knack. But I'll go through the process of showing how to make it as easy as possible. So I don't take any shortcuts, just in case you've got problems removing old carbs. But we're going to go through now. We'll go slacken all of these outside clips off on all 6 carbs, and then I'll come back and show you what you need to do. Basically, you need to get a heat gun and warm each of these rubbers up to make them nice and soft. So I'll come back and do that and show you that a little bit in a minute, and get these slackened off, and I'll be right back. Okay, so now we're ready to pull these carbs. So I started at 1 o'clock, so it's now 20 past 2, and I've done the video recording all the way through. And let's be clear, that's one shot, so I've not double taked on any of those shots that I've taken. So now you can see the carbs ready to remove. Now, I've used the heat gun to heat the rubbers, and I don't get them too hot. Now, depending on how old the rubbers are, depends how much heat you're going to have to give. These are fairly soft. Now, whilst I've been trying to do the video, these are probably cooled down, so we're going to give it a go. First thing to do is make sure that the overflow tube is removed off the base of the carb here, off of the T. So that's that. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to put a cloth across the base of the engine like so to protect the paintwork. And then I'm going to straddle the mare like so. Okay, and this is what you do. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the carbs and we're going to rock them. We're going to pull them out, and that's it. So that's an hour and 20 minutes doing the video, carbs removed, no second takes. That genuinely is how easy it is once you know what you're doing. So why I'm doing this video is to make life so much easier for you guys. All we would ask for doing these videos is that you buy the parts from us, and if you want your carb service, then come back to us and we'll do that for you. Anyway, we'll catch up soon. Oh, one last thing. After you remove the carbs, jack the engine up, put the back bolt in, and then put the two brackets back on here. The reason I say that is if you don't, if the engine's left without those brackets on here, it will distort the frame. This is proven. I've got a frame that's bent that. I didn't do it, but it was left for years like that. So make sure that you jack your engine back up, put your top bolt back in, and put the brackets either side. We'll catch up soon. So one final thing, make sure you close off the inlet ports after you remove your carbs if they're going to be left. Well, even if you're not leaving them, it's just avoids any potential danger of anything dropping in there. So block those off, and you won't go wrong.